Now, if you have a good life, which I don't begrudge you that. I'm not saying I wouldn't say that rich people are. Well, that's not true. There is something about never having to be in the trenches or out in the wilderness and experiencing how cold life is, that will eventually lead to a person not being morally complete. Something like that. You can tell when someone has never had to face any adversity, and they're usually not cool people. Some of them are cool, okay? I grew up in a rich town, and there were a lot of people from my high school who they had it on easy street. Their dads had like Wall Street jobs and stuff, and after school there's a lot of kids from my high school who ended up getting like consulting jobs and marketing jobs, and like just easy. They slid into an easy nepotism slot, and they don't look like they're doing too good. And I hope they are. And some of them are, and I'm happy to see that for sure. But it's tough to be a good, well-rounded, cool person if you have not really taken some knocks in your life. So anyway, path of least resistance. Being a hateful, poisonous turd is easy. All you have to do is just wake up. Okay, your body does that naturally. You put on some YouTube videos, you put on the TV, and you just spend the day sort of ruminating on how you have nothing and how other people have it better than you and they deserve it less and you deserve the most, etc. Like, it's not hard to do that. Being out there with nothing, and in a lot of cases less than nothing, with debt, with problems, with high body fat, with these things that would, in an RPG game, would be equivalent to like a curse, okay? You're cursed right now. You've got that purple gloom over your head. This is a curse right now, RPG curse, okay? In Earthbound, when you get the mushroom on your head and pressing right makes you go down, okay? You don't know how to walk anymore. When you have the equivalent of that in real life, and you don't have a game plan, you don't have a 5-year plan, you don't have any talent, you don't have any assets, you have nothing, it is very, very difficult and almost insane to imagine something better, or to tell people that you're going to try to get something better. You will sound like a insane person if you ever tell somebody that you have actual ambition when you're in this state, okay? And that's one reason why getting the TV show made me so sick, was because all these weirdos, all these like Hollywood weirdos and like video director people and just like medium tier aspiring marketing nobodies were like hitting us up. Like people coming out of the woodwork saying things like, hey man, I always loved you, I've always been your biggest fan, yo, you want to collab? The contrast between that and 10 years prior, when I was just some shithead and I was like, yeah, one day we're gonna have an Adult Swim show. Like the contrast between how people treat you when you have ambition and nothing versus when you actually have something, it's like you just view people, you look at these people and you see snake heads. You don't see real human heads. You just see snake heads. La, 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 la. Hey man, heard you're doing really well. So you have nothing. You probably have less than nothing. You probably have 100,000 in debt. That's less than nothing. That means you're below zero. You're not even a zero. You're not even an empty Sun Chips bag on the curb right now. You're an empty Sun Chips bag full of and Hep C needles. That's what your status is in life right now, okay? You are, if you're playing an RPG, you're not the main character. You're the slime, the level 2 slime that the main character kills in one hit. That's your state of being. And I'm not saying that to rip on you. I'm saying, hypothetically, that might be where you are. I was there, okay? That's why I'm not saying it with malice. I'm not saying it to deride you, okay? And to be a level 2 slime and be like, yeah, one day I'm gonna beat the boss is insane. That is insane. And to start working towards beating the boss as a level 2 slime is like, it's fucking difficult, man. It is so difficult. One of the toughest places, which was when I was selling cars. Selling cars, probably had like 5,000 subscribers or something. The videos were making negative money. You know, I was selling my mom's jewelry to buy camera equipment and and working this job selling cars, which was tough because, you know, in the winter, you don't sell cars in the winter. Nobody comes in. You go there, you go to the dealership for 12 hours. Not a single person walks into the dealership. It's cold as and it was like 2009, I think, so nobody had money. Nobody was buying cars. This was right before the cash for cars stimulus, because nobody was buying cars. I think not George Bush, I think it was Obama, made it so that any car you brought in, even if it was totally worthless, was like, you automatically got like $4,000 trade-in value for that, or something. I forgot how it worked exactly, but that was like the lowest point of car sales. Winter, you could go a week without seeing a single customer at a big Toyota dealership. 1 week, 3 people come in. None of them buy. And so what you do is you go there, and because you want to be the first salesman, you're standing outside all day, okay? You don't get to stand outside all day in a Gore-Tex, in a nice, like, Swedish person snowsuit. You stand outside all day in, like, dress slacks when it's freezing. And you're standing, your knees start to hurt, your feet hurt, you're wearing, like, thin leather shoes. And the most protection you get is, like, it's like a dealership fleece. You get a nice fleece. And people come in, and they don't want to buy. They're having a bad day. It's snowy. There's just slush everywhere. They track slush into the dealership, and you know, they get in the car for the test drive, and they get snow in the car. And what you do all day, instead of selling cars, is you move cars around the lot so that plow trucks can plow anytime there's snow, and you clear all the snow off the cars. You do this every day that it snows. It wasn't that the work was so bad. It was also that I was making negative money, because when you don't sell cars at a dealership, it's all commission based, but they have to, like, nominally pay you some form of minimum wage. So it's called the draw. So they pay you like $800 a week or something, but that money has to be paid back from your commission. So it's just like you go sell a car for nothing. It was just the worst. And it wasn't that the job was so bad. There's tons of jobs. That's really the only, like, job that I've had. It wasn't so bad. What was really bad about it was just the soul death of not moving myself forward, the spiritual cobwebs that were forming when each day I wanted to do a video thing or work on building the brand or whatever, and just knowing that I when would I ever be able to get back to this? When would I have the time or the money to stop selling cars for 10-12 hours a day and moving cars and cleaning the snow off of them, because that's what the job was. So that was rough. And I think there was some salesman or some motivational speaker or something, and it wasn't like someone made some brilliant point or something. It was just that I heard the word heat. And I heard the word heat, and I thought about heat. And that's when I started to do this visualization thing that really helped. And it was thinking about, like, closing your eyes and picturing, like, freezing ice crystals, picturing the world in a symbolic fantasy world way of what it really is, which is this frozen wasteland where everybody else is so caught up in trying not to freeze to death that there's no way that they could help you in any form or even acknowledge your existence. So it's just ice crystals. It's just this pale blue freezing wasteland. And imagining in your hands a tiny, almost imperceptibly, just barely glowing, the tiniest little ember, the tiniest ball of fire that you have to stoke, you have to protect it, and you have to somehow build it into something. That is a very useful metaphor, visual metaphor for what you really have to do to be truly positive. I'm not talking about surface level positivity, because I had loads of that because I was a car salesman. Oh, you want to try the new Toyota Yaris? Get ready for a treat. Get ready for a surprise, man. You're going to love the kick of this 1.6 liter engine. Heat and momentum are the two things that you have to cultivate them. Like, imagine the final scene from Fifth Element when Chris Tucker does not have any fire and they find one match. They have to have the fire element. All they have is one match. Nobody breathes. And they manage to save the with the one match. That's even if you're starting off as a level 10 slime, or even if you're starting off as the main character in your RPG and you have a short sword and the game's easier than it is for other people, that attitude is still helpful. That attitude of like obsessively protecting and being vigilant and like busting your ass to build your medium-sized fire or whatever it is into something that is magnificent and fulfilling and brings light and goodness to yourself, to the people in your tribal circle, or to strangers online, whatever. Those are like the two options in my mind, and there's a mix, there's a gradient in between.